Welcome to ASWB MSW exam practice test. Our topic today is professional relationships, values, and ethics. Use the link in the description to download the app on the App Store for free practice tests. Number 1. Confidentiality is one of the core values of the social work profession. A. True. B. False. The answer is B. False. Explanation. Confidentiality is one of ethical issues or concerns involved with selecting a study design. Number 2. How many purposes of Code of Ethics does the NASW identify? A. 4. B. 5. C. 6. D. 7. The answer is C. 6. Explanation. The NASW identifies 6 purposes of its Code of Ethics. 1. Identifying core values fundamental to social work's mission. 2. Reflecting those core values through a summary of general principles and defining a group of more specific ethical standards for guidance in practicing social work. 3. Helping social workers consider pertinent factors in the event of ethical dilemmas or conflicting obligations. 4. Supplying ethical standards for the social work profession's accountability to the public. 5. Acquainting new social workers with the discipline's values, mission, and ethical principles and standards. And 6. Defining standards that the social work profession can apply to evaluate whether any social worker's conduct has been unethical. This enables the NASW to make decisions about adjudicating complaints filed against members alleging unethical conduct, for which the NASW has established formal procedures. Social workers who subscribe to the NASW Code of Ethics are required to participate in its adjudication proceedings and comply with any sanctions or disciplinary judgments informed by the code, as well as to cooperate in implementing it. Number 3. Which is not one of 6 ethical standards identified by the NASW? A. To the wider society. B. To their colleagues. C. To their clients. D. To their family. The answer is D. To their family. Explanation. The NASW identifies 6 ethical standards categories pertaining to all social workers' professional activities as ethical responsibilities related to the following. 1. To their clients. 2. To their colleagues. 3. In their practice settings. 4. As professionals. 5. To the profession of social work. And 6. To the wider society. Number 4. Which ethical standard states that client interests generally take precedence? A. Self-determination. B. Informed consent. C. Competence. D. Commitment to clients. The answer is D. Commitment to clients. Explanation. Under social workers' ethical responsibilities to clients, Standard 1.01 is commitment to clients. This standard states that promoting client well-being is social workers' first responsibility, and client interests generally take precedence. Number 5. Which is not true about self-determination? A. Social worker cannot restrict some client rights to self-determination. B. Social workers should not only respect their clients' rights to self-determination, but they should also promote these rights. C. Social workers should provide their clients with help in their endeavors toward identifying goals. The answer is A. Social worker cannot restrict some client rights to self-determination. Explanation. Under the heading of social workers' ethical responsibilities to clients, the NASW Code of Ethics Standard 1.02 is entitled Self-Determination. Self-determination refers to the autonomy of an individual to make decisions and take actions without the permission, influence, consultation, or advice of other people or groups. In this case, it refers to the self-determination of the clients of social workers. This ethical standard states that social workers should not only respect their clients' rights to self-determination, but they should also promote these rights. In addition, they should provide their clients with help in their endeavors toward identifying goals and are making those goals clearer or more specific. Number 6. Which ethical standard states that social workers must inform clients in comprehensible, clear language of their services' purposes, related risks, limits, expenses, and alternatives? A. Self-determination. B. Informed consent. C. Competence. D. Conflicts of interest. The answer is B. Informed consent. Explanation. Informed consent. Social workers must obtain valid informed consent as appropriate for providing services to clients in professional relationships. They must inform clients in comprehensible, clear language of their services purposes, related risks, limits, expenses, and alternatives, client rights to withdraw or refuse consent, and consent time limits. Self-determination refers to the autonomy of an individual to make decisions and take actions without the permission, influence, consultation, or advice of other people or groups. Number 7. Which ethical standard states that social workers should provide services only within the limits of their certification, licensure, training, education, supervised work experience, received consultations, and or other pertinent professional credentials or experience? A. Self-determination. B. Informed consent. C. Competence. D. Commitment to clients. The answer is C. Competence. Explanation. In the NASW Code of Ethics, under Standard 1, Social Workers' Ethical Responsibilities to Clients Standard 1.04 is competence. Under this standard, the NASW advises that social workers should represent themselves as being competent and provide services only within the limits of their certification, licensure, training, education, supervised work experience, received consultations, and or other pertinent professional credentials or experience. Number 8. Which is the first standard area in the NASW Code of Ethics? A. Self-determination. B. Conflicts of interest. C. Competence. D. Cultural competence and social diversity. The answer is D. Cultural competence and social diversity. Explanation. Cultural competence and social diversity. Standard 1, Social Workers' Ethical Responsibilities to Clients, is the first standard area in the NASW Code of Ethics. Under the standard category, Standard 1.05 is entitled Cultural Competence and Social Diversity. Competence and self-determination are ethical standards. Number 9. Based on standard of conflicts of interest, social workers should avoid dual or multiple relationships, concurrent or sequential, that risk client harm or exploitation. A. True. B. False. The answer is A. True. Explanation. Under the NASW Code of Ethics First Standards Area, Social Workers' Ethical Responsibilities to Clients, Standard 1.06 is conflicts of interest. This standard includes avoiding dual or multiple relationships, concurrent or sequential, that risk client harm or exploitation, or, if such relationships are inevitable, taking measures for client protection and being responsible to establish culturally sensitive, appropriate, and clear boundaries. Number 10. What is a synonym of compelling in unless for compelling professional purposes? A. Interesting. B. Necessary. C. Convincing. The answer is C. Convincing. Explanation. Privacy and confidentiality. Under the NASW Code of Ethics First Standards Area, Social Workers' Ethical Responsibilities to Clients, Standard 1.07 is privacy and confidentiality. A. Social workers respect client privacy rights, only request clients' private information essential for delivering services, evaluating social work, or conducting research, and protect private information confidentiality. B. With valid client or legal designee consent, social workers may disclose confidential information when indicated. C. Unless for compelling professional purposes, social workers must protect all confidential information procured during professional service. Preventing harm to clients or others is the exception necessitating disclosure. In this case, social workers only disclose directly pertinent information in the smallest amounts required for the indicated purposes. Number 11. Which of the following is not true about privacy and confidentiality to clients? A. Social workers must not disclose confidential information to third-party payers without client authorization. B. With valid client or legal designee consent, social workers may disclose confidential information when indicated. C. Social workers must not protect deceased clients' confidentiality. D. Social workers should never disclose identifying client information for training or teaching reasons without client consent. The answer is C. Social workers must not protect deceased clients' confidentiality. Explanation: O. Social workers must protect client confidentiality through reasonable precautions in case of the social worker's death, incapacitation, or termination of practice. P. Social workers should never disclose identifying client information for training or teaching reasons without client consent. Q. Social workers should never disclose identifying client information to consultants without client consent or compelling need. R. Social workers must also protect deceased clients' confidentiality following these standards. Number 12. Social workers should only limit client access to their records or parts of them in exceptional cases of compelling evidence that serious client harm would ensue from records access. A. True. B. False. The answer is A. True. Explanation: access to records. Under Standard 1, Social Workers' Ethical Responsibilities to Clients, Standard 1.08, Access to Records, provides guidelines for social workers regarding client access to the records a social worker keeps about that client. It advises social workers only to limit client access to their records or parts of them in exceptional cases of compelling evidence that serious client harm would ensue from records access. Number 13. Should social workers have sexual activity or contact with relatives, close friends, or others having close personal relationships with their clients? A. Yes. B. No. The answer is B. No. Explanation: the third guideline under the standard says that because it has the potential for causing harm to their clients, social workers must avoid sexual activity or sexual contact, not only with current clients and with those close to current clients, but also with former clients. Number 14. Which of the following is considered as sexually harassing clients? A. Requesting sexual favors. B. Making physical contact. C. Using disparaging words. The answer is A. Requesting sexual favors. Explanation: physical contact, sexual harassment, and derogatory language. Under Standard 1, Social Workers' Ethical Responsibilities to Clients of the NASW Code of Ethics, Standard 1.11, sexual harassment prohibits social workers from requesting sexual favors, making sexual solicitations or sexual advances, or other sexually related physical or verbal conduct, all included as sexually harassing clients. Making physical contact belongs to Standard 1.10 entitled Physical Contact, which states that social workers should refrain from making physical contact with their clients whenever such contact has any potential for causing psychological harm to the client. Using disparaging words belongs to Standard 1.12, derogatory language. Number 15. Based on standard of payment for services, engaging in barter is never allowed. A. True. B. False. The answer is B. False. Explanation: payment for services. According to Standard 1, Social Workers' Ethical Responsibilities to Clients, Standard 1.13, payment for services, conditions for exploring and possibly engaging in barter, are only in very limited circumstances, if it is shown that the client has initiated the arrangement and given informed consent, and it is found essential to service provision, an accepted practice among local professionals, and freely negotiated without coercion. Number 16. How many provisions does Ethical Standard of Termination of Services have? A. 4. B. 5. C. 6. D. 7. The answer is C. 6. Explanation: clients who lack decision-making capacity, interruption of services, and termination of services. Standard 1.16 is entitled Termination of Services. This standard has 6 provisions. Number 17. Which is not included in the 6 provisions of termination of services? A. A social worker should not inform his or her clients if he or she anticipates that his or her services will be interrupted or terminated. B. A social worker should not terminate his or her professional services to a client in order to engage in a sexual, financial, or social relationship with that client. C. Social workers should terminate services when they no longer meet client needs or interests. The answer is A. A social worker should not inform his or her clients if he or she anticipates that his or her services will be interrupted or terminated. Explanation. The NASW Code of Ethics entitles its first standard as social workers' ethical responsibilities to clients. Under this category, Standard 1.16 is entitled Termination of Services and includes 6 provisions. The fourth of these 6 provisions is that a social worker should not terminate his or her professional services to a client in order to engage in a sexual, financial, or social relationship with that client. The fifth of these provisions is that if a social worker anticipates that his or her services will be interrupted or terminated, he or she should promptly inform his or her clients of this. In addition, the social worker should pursue the referral, transfer, or continuation of services, depending on the needs and preferences of the clients. Number 18. Which is not true about ethical standard of respect to colleagues? A. Social workers should show respect in their treatment of colleagues. B. Social workers ought to refrain from making unjustified criticisms of their colleagues when communicating with other professionals or with clients. C. Social workers should cooperate only with other social workers to contribute to client well-being. The answer is C. Social workers should cooperate only with other social workers to contribute to client well-being. Explanation. In the NASW Code of Ethics, among 6 main areas of standards, Standard 2 is entitled Social Workers' Ethical Responsibilities to Colleagues. In this category, the first ethical standard is 2.01, Respect. It states first that social workers should show respect in their treatment of colleagues. Second, it advises that social workers ought to refrain from making unjustified criticisms of their colleagues when communicating with other professionals or with clients. Third, this ethical standard gives the guidance to NASW members that social workers should cooperate not only with other social workers to contribute to client well-being, but also with colleagues who work in related and other professions, whenever their cooperation will contribute to client well-being. Number 19. Which standard states that social workers should make use of the social work profession's values, experiences, and perspectives to take part in and make contributions to decisions that affect client well-being? A. Interdisciplinary collaboration. B. Confidentiality. C. Respect. The answer is A. Interdisciplinary collaboration. Explanation. Confidentiality and interdisciplinary collaboration. Under Standard 2, Social Workers' Ethical Responsibilities to Colleagues, Standard 2.03, entitled Interdisciplinary Collaboration, states that when social workers participate as members of interdisciplinary teams, they should make use of the social work profession's values, experiences, and perspectives to take part in and make contributions to decisions that affect client well-being. Confidentially belongs to NASW Code of Ethics Standard 2.02. Which states that when their colleagues share confidential information in their professional interactions and relationships, social workers should respect its privacy. Respect states that social workers should show respect in their treatment of colleagues. Number 20. What is standard of disputes involving colleagues concerned about? A. Relating to clients. B. Relating to disputes among a social worker's colleagues and relating to clients. C. Relating to disputes among a social worker's colleagues. The answer is B. Relating to disputes among a social worker's colleagues and relating to clients. Explanation. Disputes involving colleagues. In the NASW Code of Ethics under Standard 2, Social Workers' Ethical Responsibilities to Colleagues, Standard 2.04 is entitled Disputes Involving Colleagues. This ethical standard includes 2 provisions. One relating to disputes between or among a social worker's colleagues, and another relating to clients in terms of disputes that the social worker may have with his or her colleagues, and/or to disputes that the social worker's colleagues may have between or among themselves. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel for updated videos every week.